Today's class is going to be all about hip rotation and some rotation in the arms as well. And you are going to need probably 2 chip foam blocks, if not grab about 3 or 4 blankets. One blanket is going to be rolled up, and probably 2 or 3 of them are just going to be nice and flat. And then you're also going to need a strap as well. So we're going to begin this class on all fours. Now, when you are on all fours, I don't want you to collapse the chest down so that the shoulder blades come together, and I don't want you to let the belly button just hang down to the floor so that you've got a huge arch in the back. I want you to get nice and tall in the arms, but not tall enough so that the mid-back is really high. See if you can get a really nice stable and straight spine here. We're going to move into cat-cow, and we're going to move into a segmental cat-cow, and each movement is going to start in the pelvis. So I want you to visualize or see if you can internally feel your sit bones. And begin to round your sit bones down towards the floor. You're going to feel the lower back begin to move. And then moving each vertebra, come into cat. So notice that I don't have a lot of movement in the mid-back. I'm not driving cat-cow with my upper back. I'm trying to move each vertebra one at a time. Notice that I'm not hanging my head. And then we're going to move in the other direction. So we're going to move into cow. So lifting up the sit bones, allowing each vertebra in the lumbar or lower back, moving all the way up to the mid-back, right to the top of your shoulders, and notice that I'm not lifting my head up to look forward. Again, you're going to roll the sit bones down, trying to move each piece of your spine one at a time. One more time in each direction, lifting and lowering the pelvis. And one more time lifting. From here, move into child's pose. See if you can get your arms super nice and straight. This is an active child's pose, so I want you to see if you can reach with your fingers. Get nice and long in the arms. Notice your breath. Come back on to all fours. Bring the legs together. And then cross one leg over the other leg. And then move into child's pose again. Now this time, when you move back, that top knee will lift up off the floor. Come back up and change legs. And notice if one side is maybe a little bit more difficult to move into than the other. And come back up. From here, we're going to move on to our backs, onto hook line. And you're going to grab your strap. So knees are bent, feet are on the floor. And take your strap and you're going to fold it in 4. Knees and feet are hip width apart. Begin to bring the arms overhead and then back over your chest. Now as you're bringing the arms overhead, don't lift up the chest or the rib cage to bring the arms all the way down to the floor. Notice how my rib cage is popping up and I've got a huge arch in the back. You're going to see if you can keep the rib cage nice and quiet, only bringing the arms up to your ears and then back. A few more times. Again, noticing the breath, and if you find that you're really having a hard time breathing, just don't bring the arms as far up. Maybe move them halfway. Two more times. 1 and 2. Bring your strap down. Feel that part of your body in between the top of your hip bones and your bottom rib. I want you to press your feet into the floor and lift up your hips, and try not to get rid of that line or the waist area. And what I mean by that is, if you were to tuck your tailbone under, do you notice how the hip bones move inwards? And if you push your tailbone to the floor, the hip bones come up higher. So see if you can maintain a really nice line, lifting up the hips and then coming back down again. Another way that you can do this is you can put your hands under your behind and just notice if there's any movement back there. Two more times, lifting up. 1 and 2. Take one leg and move it out to the side, so that's your leg and your foot. See if you can get the knee to point up towards the ceiling. We're going to do a bridge pose again here. Lifting up. Try to keep your shoulder blades on the floor. This isn't a back bend. And then see if you can feel 3 points in each foot as you're lifting. So that would be the middle of the heel, the base of the pinky toe, and the ball of the foot just underneath the big toe. 2 more times. 1 and 2. And then we're going to go to the other side. Opening up the other leg, making sure that the knee is pointing up. Both knees are pointing up. Feel the points in the bottom of your feet, making contact with the floor. Lifting and lowering. Two more times. 1 and 2. Okay. We're going to open up both legs now. Notice that my toes are pointing out in a diagonal. Make sure that the knees aren't opening up wider than your feet or narrower. And begin to come into a bridge. And this is going to be a little bit difficult. Legs and their hips are at a different angle. Different parts of your upper legs working now. I'm kind of shaky here. Make sure that the shoulder blades stay on the floor. Again, this is not a back bend. 2 more times. 1 and 2. Bring your feet back, hip width apart, knees hip width apart. Grab the strap again. And this time we're going to do a bridge pose and bring the arms overhead at the same time. Lifting up the hips, bringing the arms overhead, and coming back down. Lifting and lowering. 2 more times. 1 and 2. Okay. Shake it out. We're going to kneel. If you can't kneel, I want you to stand. So I'm going to grab a blanket, put my knees on the blanket. I want you to, I'm going to turn around this way and just show you. I want you to move your arm around. Take the other arm or the opposite arm and see if you can place it on your shoulder blade. And move the other arm around and just notice how when the arm moves, the shoulder blade should move. So whenever you've got movement in the arm, the shoulder blade is going to move with the arm. And you can try the other side as well, taking the other hand. And if you can't bring your arm back, see if you can bring it over. Okay. You're going to try to move your arm in the arm joint without moving the shoulder blade. So I'm going to place my hand on my shoulder blade. I'm going to take the arm that's dropping down out just a little and see if you can rotate the arm so that the shoulder blade isn't moving. Notice I'm not moving my arm very much. You can make circles. Forward and back. Side to side. The movement is really small and really quiet. You may not be able to move as much as I am, and that's okay. And just bring your arms down to your sides and just notice if one arm feels different than the other. The arm that I was just working on feels a lot longer. And then let's try the other side. So bring that arm out just a bit. I like to start with rotating front to back. And then maybe move the arm out just a bit. Back and forth, side to side. And just notice which arm has more movement. Is it the arm that you just worked on? Or is it this arm? Okay. Compare arms. Bring one leg out to the side. Now, sometimes what will happen is when we extend one leg out, you'll find that you're shorter in one leg than the other. So I want you to see if you can get the pelvis so that it's neutral. So you may feel something in the adductor muscles on the inside of the leg. And trying to keep your pelvis quiet, I want you to begin to rotate that leg that's nice and straight here. Now don't try to really reef on that leg. Stay within your range of motion. Notice if you're bracing anywhere. Notice if your jaw is tight. Right now my shoulders are super tight, so I'm going to relax them down. So whenever you're bracing, that's a form of compensation. You want to be able to get the movement really nice and fluid. Also notice what is driving the movement. Is it your foot, your knee? And see if you can get the muscles in the hip to do the movement. And you're going to find that the muscles, or the glute muscles, or the muscles in the behind, those are the driving muscles, and you may feel something in that area. Now get the toes to point up towards the ceiling. See if you can get your pelvis to face forward and nice and neutral, and come into a side bend. Now notice I'm not reaching with the other arm. It's just nice and quiet, resting on the extended thigh. Come all the way back up. One more time. Bring the arm down. Bring your hands onto your chest and rotate the upper body away from the straight leg. Come back to center. Rotate a couple more times. Each time you're rotating, see if you can let your breath out. Let's try the other side. You can just stay here for a moment and just notice if there's a difference between one side and the other. Now this is my hip that's really super tight here. If you find that you're really having trouble getting the leg out nice and straight, draw that leg in a bit. That way it'll take the rotation out of the pelvis. So on this side I have to bring my leg in. Make sure that the pelvis is nice and quiet, nice and neutral, nice and straight. And begin to rotate in the hip. Again, notice what is driving the movement. Is it your foot or your knee? And I want you to see if you can drive the movement in the hip. Again, you're not going to reef into that leg so that you're going as far as you can. Just a really nice, easy, fluid movement. And if you can't rotate as much as I am, that's okay. Only go as far as you can. Okay. Toes are pointing up. Let's go into a side bend. Again, I'm not reaching with that bottom arm. I'm just letting it rest on the leg. Coming back up. One more time, side bend. Coming up, bringing your hands onto your chest, rotating in the opposite direction of the leg. And moving with the breath. Again, each time that you twist, see if you can let your breath out as you're twisting. Notice my twist isn't huge. I'm trying to use the muscles in my waist above my pelvis to do the movement. And then come back and bend both knees. You can see if your hips feel a little bit loose. We're going to get rid of the blanket that we were kneeling on. And for the last two positions, I'm going to get ready for the last one, I guess. I'm going to grab my rolled up towel or blanket. And I'm going to grab 2 chip foam blocks so that they're handy. So coming onto your back with the knees bent, feet on the floor. I want you to open the feet and the knees a little bit wider than hip width apart. Again, you're going to rotate in the hips. My feet are moving with my legs. So when my knees are pointing up towards the ceiling, my feet are on the floor. When I open up the knees or the legs, I come onto the outside edges of my feet. Again, you're only moving as far as the muscles in your hip are allowing you to move. And the next time you bring your legs back up, I want you to bring them together. I want you to open up the knees, bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees open up just as far as they can without any pain or discomfort. Check your pelvis, make sure that it's neutral. And then begin to push your feet into each other. So the soles of the feet are really pressing into each other. You're going to feel the knees lift up a bit and then release. Press the feet together. Feel the knees lift up and then release. A couple more times, pressing. Now notice that my knees aren't coming all the way up. They're lifting up a bit. And one more time. And release. You're going to grab, you can actually use a bolster if you want. If you have a bolster, I'm going to do this on both sides so that you can see exactly how and what I'm doing. I'm going to start by facing the camera. You're going to take 2 chip foam blocks and put your hand on the blocks and extend the arms up in front. Knees are bent. From here, you're going to bring one arm up so that it's lined up with the chest. As you breathe out, begin to open up the chest so you're twisting the upper body. Notice that my arm isn't coming down first. My arm is lined up with my chest. And then come back up. Again, moving back. Again, the movement is in the waist. And coming back up. Try not to let that top leg slide back. Lifting up one more time. And then if you want to stay in that twist for a bit in a really comfortable position, you can take your rolled up blanket or your bolster and just prop your back so that you can stay in the twist for a bit. You can take that top hand, you can place it on your waist or on your chest, whatever is comfortable for you. And then just stay here for as long as you'd like. And then let's try the other side. So take that bolster, that rolled up blanket or towel that you have, roll over onto the other side. Arms are extended in front. Lift up the top arm, make sure that it's level with your chest. And then as you breathe out, begin to twist. And come back. Try not to really push yourself into the twist. You're only going as far as your waist muscles are allowing you to go. One more time. Lifting up again. Now this time, as we're going into the twist, we're going to stay here for a little bit. So you're going to take your bolster or your blanket. You're going to prop yourself up so that you can stay in this position with ease without any effort. And then again, you can stay here for as long as you want. Come out of the twist and get rid of the blocks or whatever you have under your head. And since you have the rolled up blanket or the bolster, what you can do is you can place it under your thighs and extend your arm or your legs and stay here for a few minutes into resting pose. Just notice if your breath has slowed down a bit and you're breathing with ease. Notice if you're bracing anywhere in your body, and see if you can let go of that bracing and just relax. You can stay here for as long as you want. But when you're ready to come out of resting pose, draw the knees in towards the chest and give them a hug. Let your breath out roll over onto one side of the mat. And the next time that you breathe out again, sit on your mat. And thank you for joining me, and have a great rest of the day or evening.